And I was on my way to work, but I was out a couple of days, been a little sick, so I've got to get a doctor's release saying I'm not contagious. Okay. So, after yesterday, got a little emotional. All the stuff about Charlie Kirk, and still to this day, the thing that upsets me the most is that this is just some social media personality, social media person, and I've heard the president, the vice president, I've heard them condolences and everything else, but they still haven't given half as much attention to the children who have perished in the school shooting that happened the same day. And that really bothers me. That really irks me that, a social media personality is more important than, or that's where your priority's at. Not necessarily that it's more important, but that's where your priority is at. I don't like that. And I'm going to further say that this should not be one of those times where, we're going to revisit gun rights, because it's obviously there needs to be reform somewhere along the way. But the reason I'm saying that is because I'm a firm believer that it's not the system that's the problem. It's the people in charge of the system. For example, we pretty much have the same gun laws from back when I was in high school in the 80s into the early 90s. Okay. And I very vividly remember riding to school to Grand Prairie High. And the guy that I used to ride with, we lived in the same complex. He had a gun rack with a shotgun and a rifle in his truck. Drove this truck to school, gun rack with guns, loaded guns on the gun rack. And it was never a problem. Windows down, especially when it's hot. Nobody came and tried to take the rifle or shotgun off of his gun. It was just, it was common. It was normal. There was no weirdness to it. The same systems were in place. So what's changed? What's changed is the attitude, the climate, the person, whatever you want to call it, the temperature, the way people behave, the way people act. That's what's changed. And part of that is from social media, because kids are being radicalized and they're being exposed to people that they never would have. Some of them being exposed to people from China or people from the Middle East or people from Russia that are trying to subvert these children on purpose, and they don't realize that they're speaking to somebody in a foreign country. They have no idea. Okay? That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is the parents. Because these kids wouldn't have access to these weapons if it weren't for the parents being either careless or encouraging. It's one of the two. They're either careless or encouraging. And that didn't happen when I was growing up. That didn't happen back then. Again, I don't think it's the system, and I can't fully just blame Trump for making people crazy. People have always been crazy. Okay? And I can't just blame Trump, because I really don't think he's that smart. I really don't think he's this mastermind that can. I think there are people behind the scenes that are prodding him and poking at his ego and things like that. And they're encouraging some of these things. And he's an old dude, so he's been around when there was segregation and things like that. So some of these are natural proclivities for him. Anyway, again, if I'm gonna shed tears, if I'm gonna put my heart out for something, it's gonna be for the kids that were that were victims of a school shooting, not some social media personality. That's just me. I'm not gonna curse him. I'm sad that it happened, but I'm not. I don't cry very often. If I'm gonna cry, it's gonna be with a purpose. Anyway, that's my video. Thank you guys again for watching, and you guys have a good afternoon.